Okay, so track 4 on Alpha is From a Train. And this was written around the same time as the Dharamsala Blues. It was when I was in India. And again, I traveled the length and breadth of the country. So I was on trains all the time. Like, once, twice a week, it seemed like I had a train journey. Well, maybe like once a week. And most of the time, I was traveling on a budget. I was not staying in any fancy places, but I would usually get like a second class or maybe a first class ticket if they were cheap. But this one particular journey, I remember, I got, the only thing available, it was third class, I believe. It was like steerage, it was like in an old car. It was like, decades old, this rickety old car. And obviously, as usual, I was the only, white person, the only foreigner on this train. And I had a guitar with me. It was the Epiphone, which my friend Griff has, who makes the album. And I used to play songs like, I don't want to get a copyright claim, but I would play Fell on Black Days is the name of that song, which has this little riff that's very Indian sounding, and all the ears would perk up, So I would play songs on the train, any train, travel I was doing. And Indian people are just great. They're just the friendliest, warmest people on the planet. And some guy comes in with a guitar and they're like, hey, and they appreciate someone who's going to play for them. And I would play songs. And I remember starting on this. Starting on this riff on one of those train journeys that just stuck with me, and it became the basis for that song. But the experience that I remember most was this train where I was in the third class compartment, and there was we were traveling overnight. It was very uncomfortable. It was crammed with people, and I was fortunate enough to have a seat. But this young woman came on, and she had a small child and a baby. And I think she had one seat. And I, seeing her predicament, offered to give her my seat. And she refused. She didn't speak any English, right? She refused, but I think she was able to, like, the little girl was standing and she had the baby in her lap. But then as like the night progressed, there were more people on board, it was so cramped. The little girl was in a bad way, standing. So I think what happened was she put her little girl on her lap, and she gave me her baby. And, far from being inconvenienced, I was touched because, the level of trust that she put in me, this total stranger, clearly not a fellow countryman, a foreigner. And we traveled pretty much the whole night, and I had that baby on my lap, holding on for dear life. And it was like the best behaved baby ever. Like, I can't complain. It wasn't crying and kicking up a fuss or anything. It was just a sweet-natured little infant. But I held that baby in my lap, put the guitar away, obviously, held that baby in my lap pretty much the whole night. And then when we got to her destination before mine, she took the baby, and I don't even know if there was like a word spoken, just like this kind of nod of thank you, you're welcome, And so I think of her and her family wherever they are now, hopefully doing well whenever I play that song.